You have to give them a lot of credit because I think is it one place below us, I think. And we think we're having a really good season because we had a bad start. They had not a good start. They've had a lot of injuries, very similar to us. And then they're in a really good position in the league. So you look at us, Northampton and Stevenage, but doing really, really well. And you look at the other end of it for a newly promoted club, and you look at Carlisle, it can be really tough. So I think John Brady and his staff have to take a lot of credit because they picked up a lot of points and beating some good teams. Got a good point. I know Bolton was down to 10 men, but a good point on Saturday. So it'd be a difficult game every time we played Northampton. Last year or the year before, it's been a tough game. So we expect the same.
As you say, 3 of the 4 promoted clubs from last year, of which we won, are doing really well. How much do you think maybe that mindset that we instilled last year is still continuing and present this year?
Well, I think when you win, it builds confidence, it gets unity and spirit in the group. But you still need quality to win football match. You need quality, you need athleticism. You need a bit more size in this league. You need more athleticism in this league. And for me, you look at the league, Stevenage are probably winning it. We're second and Northampton are third because the size of the clubs above us and the budgets and what they can go out in January and do. Ourselves and Northampton can't do that. So I think that ourselves, Northampton, Stevenage have a terrific season. It's just now what's gone is not important. How can we impact? How can we give it the best shot that we've possibly got? One, to get maximum points in these next 2 home games, and then if we can do that, you never know in football.
Right then, without further ado, let's take a look and see how the O's are lining up for this evening's fixture. And Richie's been forced into a couple of changes, really, and it's just the 2 that he is making. But as we'll see here, it's Brandon Cooper who comes in to replace the injured Dan Happy, and Arsenal only Khayon Edwards is leading the line tonight. He makes his first start for the club as replacing Ross Thiriou, who also came off with a slight injury on Saturday, but hopefully that's nothing too serious as he's on the bench tonight. But in full, we have Solbrin in between the sticks. We have Tom James playing in the fullback positions. We have Jordan Brown in the midfield, and then Brandon Cooper at the back. We have George Wonker and Idris El Mizouni completing that midfield 3. Looking to continue his goal scoring form is Shaq Ford. Wearing the armband is Omar Beckles as he partners Brandon Cooper. Making his second start for the club is Ollie O'Neill. Ethan Galbraith completes the back line. And then, as I said, leading the line tonight, it's 47 Khayon Edwards. And on the bench for Leyton Orient, Sam Howes, Jaden Sweeney, Rosa Thiriou, Darren Pratley, Dan Adu-Ajay, Rob Hunt and Charlie Pegram also returned to the squad. So no real surprises there really, Brendan. Perhaps maybe even expected some more changes with the tough schedule we've had of late.
Yeah, it's tough to balance it because obviously you've got to give fresh legs a chance. There's been so many games in such a short space of time, and we did look leggy, especially in that last 20 minutes, half an hour against Barnsley. It was probably the leggiest I've seen a Richie Wellens team for some time. We're normally known for our pressing and being so fit and defending leads so well, and unfortunately Saturday was the first time we have experienced defeat after being ahead in the game under Richie Wellens in the league. So you look at that and think maybe we can freshen it up a bit more, but then you look at the bench and go, there isn't that many fit options to do so. It's a massive night for Khayon Edwards. I think obviously Rosa Thiriou's injury has kind of played a part in that, but interested to see how he does because like Joe mentioned earlier, there's not been a lot of time on the training ground in terms of the fact Richie has a very set way of playing. The number 9 is so important in how they press the ball, they lead the press, they know the triggers to do so. I'm wondering how well he would be able to take on that information when they've had very little time on the training ground to work on it.
Khayon Edwards is probably the headline grabbing change. There's probably a bit of expectation from here, a young lad on loan from Arsenal leading the line. It's just an interesting one. You don't really know what to expect, and we'll see what happens tonight, really, I guess.
Yeah, like you said, I think it's exciting. Is it his professional debut tonight?
Yeah.
So, look, he's come from Arsenal, so, you expect him to be, technically good. He's a young lad. I imagine he'll be enthusiastic, buzzing to make his debut. So, massive night for him. And yeah, as Brendan said, it will be interesting to see how he adapts because we know that the number 9, the lone forward role, is a very specific one for Richie Wellens and how he likes his teams to play. So, hopefully he can, he's had time to integrate and get used to how the team play and build connections with one or two players. So, but yeah, no, really looking forward to seeing him.
And I think it was Martin Ling who said in his interview around the time of the transfer window, you look at Shaq Ford and probably no one expected too much of him, but eight goals for him now for the season. Khayon as well, coming from a Premier League club. Yes, it's his first proper loan out in the Football League, but if we can get a number of goals out of him in the second half of the season, he could be a really exciting player.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great opportunity for him. It shows how kind of highly we're thought of in the footballing pyramid now that we're getting these loans from exciting clubs like Arsenal. They're trusting us with these players, and it's in whole a really young, exciting front three in terms of Shaq Ford on the right, like you said, has been excellent recently. Really made that right wing spot his own. Ollie O'Neill, I thought, was really good, even though it was his professional debut. And again, like most of the team, did look a bit leggy in those last 20 minutes, but exciting when he was on the ball, worked hard, put his body on the line at points. I was really impressed with how he fitted in on Saturday. And then obviously, Khayon Edwards making his professional debut. So hopefully, you talk about we needed legs, at least we'll have that in terms of young, enthusiastic players.
And we know Richie likes his striker to run a lot, to press, and you've said about the importance of that. A player like Khayon probably hasn't played much football, especially, or definitely not men's football of late. He's going to be excited. He's going to have those legs, and he's going to have that puppy-like enthusiasm. And he'll run himself into the ground tonight, you expect?
Yeah, you'd hope so. He'll just run on adrenaline, I expect, playing his professional debut. And I hope he'll have that inbuilt tactical intelligence already, because he's been at a club like Arsenal from a young age where you work with the best coaches day in, day out. Maybe he's trained with the first team, working with someone like Arteta and the top strikers there who really have like such a technical way of playing and a technical method of pressing. Hopefully Richie's been able to use some of that inbuilt knowledge and it means he can take on the way kind of we play a lot quicker.
Enough of the Arsenal compliments, and I'll got some friends who might give me some stick for that. But let's talk about the other attackers behind him. We've touched on it, but it is young, but they are exciting. The way we play, though, they're going to take a lot of, or they might, hopefully not, but take a bit of time to learn each other's games. We had a really good thing going with Real Satiriou and Theo Archibald and everyone, but now there's four players who haven't played much football together. How much of a part do you think that'll play?
Yeah, on one side, I think you can look at it and say that there's a lot of inexperience there, not just in an Orient shirt, but in terms of their football careers, they've not played much senior football, which could be in terms of maybe like game understanding and just that little bit of being streetwise and adapting to the league and up against experienced defenders tonight at Northampton. They may find that tough at times, but then like Brendan said, they've come from good stock. Like the likes of Ollie O'Neill and Khayon Edwards, Shaq Ford. They've come from good clubs. They've had good footballing upbringings and they're talented players, and they're obviously thought of highly by their clubs in terms of Shaq and Khayon. So look, we've got some couple of really exciting players out there tonight. So hopefully, look. They can enjoy themselves, they can express themselves, they can, get themselves into the game quickly and show what they're all about. And I'm sure Rich will be giving them that message. Just go out there, enjoy yourselves, express yourselves, work hard and give it your best. The
youthfulness feeds even deeper and backwards into midfield as well. Jordan Brown and Idris El Mizouni. Now, anyone who's watched the last 10, 15 games, you'd be forgiven for thinking that they've probably got a few hundred games of Football League football between them. They don't. But they work so well, and maybe it's a case of that experience isn't the be-all and end-all.
Yeah, if I was going to pick two players of the season so far, I'd go for Jordan Brown and El Mizouni. I think they've been absolutely outstanding in there, and like you say, you wouldn't say this is their first season at this level, and it is for both of them, and they've been excellent in there in terms of driving the midfield, the maturity they show in the selection of passing they do, where they know when to play it, when to slow things down, work their socks off in there. A little bit concerned that they have played a great amount of minutes at this level for the first time, and it's like we keep on saying the Saturday-Tuesday effect might catch up with them, but you've got Darren Pratley to come on for the last however long to shore things up. So yeah, a big night for them to carry on their form, and if we're looking at kind of, it's weird because we're saying they're two young players, but if you're looking at the front three and even some players at the back, they're two are kind of experienced players now because of the amount of games they've played this season. They know exactly what Richie Wellens wants, and they'll be out there probably giving the instructions, especially El Mizouni as a player that stepped in as captain recently.
And let's really focus in on Idris El Mizouni now, and just some of the clips. He's I think, as Brendan says, he's rightly a contender for Leyton Orient's Player of the Season this year. He's a mainstay, and as we'll see here, he's good on the ball, he's good on the press, he's good in that midfield battle. He's just a fantastic player.
Yeah, he's got a bit of everything, hasn't he? And I think, if he can start doing, this a bit more and adding more goals to his game, I think he really will. He can go and play higher for sure at some point. He's just, what I like about him is his energy, his drive. I think he carries the ball so well. I think that's something that sets him apart from a lot of other midfielders. Is his, how he makes these forward runs, but he's such a good ball carrier, gets himself into attacking positions, and considering that he's come on loan and he's worn the armband for us most of the season, I think he's been outstanding, probably from the moment he joined the club last season, and he's not only maintained that, I think he's gone up a level this season. He's adapted to League One really well. I think he's taken on that responsibility, wearing the armband. He never gets injured, plays every game, and he's a real mainstay of the team.
Yeah, and he stops this team looking stale at times when we are kind of passing it between us and we're looking for options. El Mizouni's always there asking for the ball, and when he does get the ball in those tight spaces, he can just beat a man and come back, and it just gets you up the field. It puts people out of position. People aren't expecting that from a number 8, and he's such an important player for us in that respect, in terms of bringing a little bit of unpredictability and getting us out of danger and up the pitch quickly.
And then looking at the defence as well, Joe, losing Dan Happy is a massive blow, no matter for how many weeks it may be. But Brandon Cooper stepped in, of course, but he has got to fill a very big hole in Dan Happy. That he's been fantastic this season. He's been great for a number of years. Frustrating to lose him again. Yeah,
and it is frustrating and disappointing for Dan because, as you said, he has been in great form. He's been having a really good, solid, consistent season. Unfortunately, he's picked up this injury, which he has done, in previous seasons as well. So, difficult one for him to take, but I think, hopefully it's nothing too serious, and we'll see him again back in the team shortly. But I think I think you've got to give credit to Brandon Cooper and Omar in how they've responded when they've been out the team at times and come back in. I think, Phil, to be honest, everyone in the back four has really contributed this season. Tom James had a really good season, been out the team for periods, and then come back in, done well. Same with Rob Hunt as well, Jaden Sweeney, another one. I feel like we've got really good, solid options back there, and hopefully the fact that we've got Brandon Cooper able to come in for Dan, he won't be missed too much, but we'd like to see him back soon, yeah. And I guess he brings something a little bit different, Brandon, from Dan. He feels like a real battler. You think back to those games he played in the in the back three, he was winning everything. He liked to scrap. He was a bit of a brute at the back, and it's maybe slightly different from Dan's game, but he's shown already that he can contribute at this level.
Yeah, he's, like you say, he's got that aggression about him that he always wants to win a 50-50. He's never going to shy away from anything. And what's rare for a centre-back at this level, when you think about a player that is that kind of player, that is a battler in there, he can also play with the ball brilliantly. He's a very good ball player. He can play out from the back, and he has that calmness that Richie Wellens absolutely needs when we play this system. So yeah, a really good option to have, a big night for him to stake his claim with Dan Happy out for we don't know how long yet, but a good chance for Brandon Cooper to really stake his claim.
Fullbacks are obviously such an important part of the game, aren't they, Joey, as you well know, but Ethan Galbraith and Tom James are not only doing well defensively, but they're crucial to how we play as a team, getting them on the ball and moving it forward, and they're doing it so well, the two of them.
Yeah, obviously because they're both so comfortable on the ball and so good in possession. Obviously Ethan's a midfielder, so naturally he is very comfortable with being in possession and having the ball. But what surprised me a little bit is how good he is at his defensive side of his game has been excellent, and both of them really contribute in terms of the build up and stepping into midfield. Ethan particularly likes to drive inside and then sort of stay in there and be that extra number in there, We know that Tom James, he likes to drift in field as well, where he can get in pockets and positions to utilise his passing and what a massive asset that can be for the team. So yeah, I think they're both different in the sense that they're not your traditional sort of old school fullbacks. Both of them want to be on the ball, would probably rather be on the ball than defending, but both can do a good job defensively and really important for the team going forward and building the attack.
Well, there's just under 15 minutes to go until kick-off, and of course don't forget you can stream tonight's game from wherever you're watching in the world, whether that's internationally or in the UK. All you need to do is head over to the Match Centre that is on the screen's website now to pick up your streaming pass to watch along with us here. And right now, let's take a very short break from the football and let's take a closer look at some of the work that Leyton Orient's Community Hubs Trust have been doing in recent weeks.
The idea is to have something for the community, to make sure that there's people that know there's different events happening, different programs. We do seated exercises. After the seated exercises, the women and men can then decide to play Scrabble or table tennis or anything like that. It's just to encourage them to be healthy and to join in activities and to be social. So it's just having a warm space as well for them. This time of the year, it's so cold. A lot of people are isolated, so it's just somewhere that they can come to and socialise and exercise and get to know each other. And yeah, so it's a bit of a mixture. We start with seated exercises, start with keeping fit, then they have their snacks and they choose what they want to do. I'm born and bred in Leyton, so Leyton Orient is my local football club. And what I would want, especially for my daughter, is to know that there's a lot happening in the community from grassroots to an older age. Like, the older ones have been doing so much in the community and they need to know that there's still things for them. And as there's a lot of people going through bereavement, there's a lot of people, when you get older, families have moved away, people have died, but they can come together as a group with us. So it's so important to make sure that people don't feel isolated. It's so important as a club that we do engage with the wider community so they know we're here and there's something to offer and giving back as well. So yeah, it's perfect. I think a lot of the women have always said to me, without you, I wouldn't be as fit as I have been. So, and that's without me, but that's without Leyton Orient, that's without, Waltham Forest Council just sort of putting these programmes together. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what we can do together when we join together and work hard. We can bring people together and not have them so isolated at home. I remember coming to work the other day, I saw a guy on the street and I sort of just stopped, turned around and went back to him and went, "Oh, did you know that at the Score Centre we've got this going on with the Leyton Orient Trust?" He goes, "Oh no, I didn't know there was anything." And I told him the days we were here. And then he came in and then he told us where he lived, and a few of the other women live on his road and they've lived on the same road as each other for like 30 years and they didn't know each other but met here. So you can find out about it through friends and family. Sometimes some of the people have come through doctors' referrals. Some of the people have just met us walking around the park. So we do walks in different parks, and some people have met us on our walk around and they said, "Oh, what is this group of yous?" And we're like, "Yeah, we do walks, we do activities." And yeah, it's funny to know that you can live next to each other and not know each other and then come to something like this and suddenly start communicating and sort of becoming friends, which is great.
Phenomenal stuff there from the Trust. Keep up the great work. And now let's return to football and take a look at the visiting side. It's the Cobblers who are in E10 and looking to cause a bit of an upset. And let's take a look at the starting 11 for John Brady's men. In goal for them is number 31, Louis Molden. Their captain is number 5, John Guthrie. Number 9, Louis Apparet. Number 11, Mitch Pinnock. 15, Jordan Willis. Number 19, Kieran Bowie. 20, Harvey Lintott. 21, Mark Leonard. 23, Will Hondermark. Number 29, Dom Gape. And 33, Patrick Bruff. And on the bench for the Cobblers is James Dadge, Ben Fox, Manny Monthe, Tyree Simpson. He signed at 6:30 this evening. It's Liam Moore. You have Peter Abimbola and Tony Springett. So, a familiar opponent as well tonight, Brendan, and one that we haven't had much joy in recently. I believe it's 1 win in the last 14 games. So a little bit of a hoodoo around this one.
Yeah, I mean, no point in going back 14 games because the teams are completely different. But in terms of the last 4, where it's been Richie Wellens managing Leyton Orient against John Brady managing Northampton, we haven't won any of them. It's 2 draws and 2 losses, and they've been a frustrating opponent for us. I think probably the closest we came to beating them really was earlier this season, where although we did get a late equaliser, I thought we were the better team that night, and hopefully we'll be looking to put in that kind of performance tonight, because I think on occasions they have kind of been one of those teams that have bullied us a little bit, that have won games via like a set piece or frustrated us by sitting deep and playing for a 0-0. So it's an interesting one. I'm sure Richie will be aware of the fact that he hasn't beaten Northampton, and he'll be looking to put that right today.
2 of your former clubs, Joey. I know who you're rooting for tonight, though, don't worry. But they're 4 points behind us with a game in hand. It's a really tight one to call. Well, I don't know what way how actually you're feeling about this one tonight.
Well, I think, to be honest, look, Northampton are a really well-drilled team. They're really organised. They set up well. They're definitely missing their main man, Hoskins. He's out injured, so he's their captain. Big goal threat, sort of like their talisman, really. But they've still got some good players there. Mitch Pinnock's got a lot of quality, left-footed player. He provides a lot of assists. I think it'll be a tough game. Northampton are a hard-working side. They dig in, they do the ugly side of the game really well, make it difficult for opponents. So I think it'll be a tough game, but I do expect us, especially with our young, exciting front line tonight. I think I've got a feeling that they're going to really sort of rise to the occasion and have a show what they're about this evening and really sort of express themselves. And I've got a feeling there's goals in it tonight for the O's.
Sam Hoskins missing is a massive one for them. He's not the only one that either, is he? They're another team who are maybe having similar injury problems to us. Yeah,
I think that's the thing about these kind of games that we complain about being Saturday, Tuesday, feeling it in the legs. But same deal with Northampton. Their keeper came off injured, Lee Burge, on Saturday, and he hasn't made it today. Like Joe mentioned, Hoskins, top scorer for them, one of the top scorers in the league, also missing with injury. They've had to sign a new centre-back, Liam Moore, today, just to make up the numbers on the bench in terms of their injuries. So they're going to feel the same. I'm sure if you spoke to their manager, they'd be saying it's going to be a tough test with the legs. So I think these games can kind of go either way. I think they can either be, look, we're both of us are feeling it, let's just try and go blow for blow and it'll be an attacking game. Or it could be a really dull one where neither team really wants to expose themselves, wants to press very high, wants to commit bodies, so it can be a tight and cagey one.
I feel like we're playing this one down a little bit. They've only won 1 of their last 5. Going into this, really, despite what happened on Saturday, we should be the ones with confidence and going in and trying to get the 3 points tonight. Yeah,
of course. Look, we've been, if you look at it, we've been in great form. Putting Saturday aside, where obviously performance wasn't bad. Result went against us, but the performance was good. Been playing really well, particularly at home. Our home form's been excellent. It's been a tough schedule of games. There's no getting away from that. I think, and it does take its toll on the squad, but I feel like we've got more than enough out there tonight. Richie's changed the squad around, as he has done throughout the season, kept everyone involved. I feel like, there's no one sort of... We've got a couple of, unknown quantities, if you like, in the likes of Edwards coming in tonight, and, Ollie O'Neill's still finding his feet, but, this is a team that's been in really good form of late, and I'm expecting, them to put on a good performance tonight.
It was a draw for them last time out against Bolton. Kieran Bowie with the goal in the 2nd minute. We'll see the highlights from that game here. Getting a draw against Bolton, listen, we went one better and got all 3 points, but it's impressive for them to do that against a side like Bolton, and as we'll see here, they've got a bit about them.
Yeah, but I also think it's a little bit of a blow for them, especially because of the fact they were 1-0 up so early on, and then Bolton had a man sent off, so Bolton equalised with 10 men. So much like we'll be feeling disappointed after the result against Barnsley, they'll be feeling a similar level of disappointment that they couldn't hang on in this one, albeit Bolton are, as we've seen, a very good side on their day and can cause problems for any team.
And watching some of the clips here, as you've already said, Joe, they dig deep. He dug deeper, but as a team, Northampton, they will dig deep. They'll defend well. They probably should have done better on Saturday, but Looking at this here, what are you expecting for them to bring tonight?
They'll be hard working. They'll be a threat from set pieces. They'll be full of energy. John Brady sets his team up to be sort of real high energy. I'm sure they'll try and press and try and get after us at times. And I think they'll be really committed, to be honest. And going on previous most recent results between the two teams, I think they'll fancy their chances of coming here. So hopefully, it'll be an open game. I think we know what to expect from Orient at home. We'll take the game to them, try and dominate possession, be on the front foot, and like we've spoken about, I think we've got some really exciting attacking options to go and create chances and hopefully score goals. Right then,
there's just under 5 minutes to go until kick-off, and the teams are making their way out onto the pitch already here in E10. So let's hand over to our commentary team of Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
Good evening and welcome to the Gaughan Group Stadium, Brisbane Road. It's going to be an interesting night. Both sides have been hit by injuries. The O's will want a positive response after the late disappointment of Saturday at Barnsley. And you have to go back to 2005, the last time that the O's took maximum points from the Cobblers here in E10. And it is a big, big night for young Khayon Edwards. I'm looking forward to seeing the Arsenal youngster.
For him and for this Orient team to see what sort of reaction we get after Saturday's late defeat. And you look at the changes, 2 for the O's, 2 for the Cobblers. They've had to reshuffle the pack, and in particular for them, their goalkeeper Louis Molden makes his Football League debut. Now, he has played a number of games in the National League. He was on loan at Rochdale. He came on as a substitute at half-time on Saturday, but he makes his full league debut tonight, does the 22-year-old.
Yes, it's a big night for him. It's an interesting night for Liam Moore. Now, he didn't have a club until earlier today. The former Leicester and Reading man was a free agent. He was signed earlier today, and he goes straight onto the Cobblers bench. I think it's the indication of how both squads are now stretched.
Yeah, and I think you look at the Orient bench this evening: Sam Howes, Jaden Sweeney, Bruce Tiriou, Darren Pratley, Dan Adu-Ajay, Rob Hunt and Charlie Pegram. So within the space of a couple of the weeks, you look at the O's squad. Dan Ajay was in form, the likes of Max Sanders was playing. Of course, injuries as well. Dan Happy, Theo Archibald. Orient have lost some strong, experienced players, and the likes of Adu-Ajay. Edwards gets his start today. Pegram back on the bench. Satiri, we know, is carrying a knock from a hamstring injury, so it is starting to get to that time of the year where teams are looking to do whatever they can, and Northampton have signed someone, as you say, a free agent, Liam Moore.
It is an interesting passage of matches for the O's with back-to-back home games. Burton Albion are here on Saturday. Now, their game has been postponed. Peterborough is also off. There was a match here on Saturday evening with Spurs ladies, and the pitch, I think, under the circumstances, is holding up very well. The referee tonight is Ben